Yeah, what's up? How are we
Yeah,
doing?
yeah, all good. Last time we talked, it was a whole different scenario.
Yeah, a whole different scenario, exactly.
Well,
Yeah, times change, things just wind up, running their course.
yeah, yeah, times change, people change, and you have to find different setups. And yeah, but hey, first of all, let me say, I heard your track, mind blowing. I was completely blown away by the number one, the lineup you got together. Wow.
Well, thank you.
Caton, and then of course Mr. Hunold. Wonderful. Tell us. We're eager to hear. We heard the.
Yeah, so yeah, after that, after the 2023 tour in Europe where I saw you last, we wound up, we came back to the States. I had a ton of new material just hanging out in my mind, and some of it was already pre-recorded, or I always start with the Pro Tools and throw down ideas and they get assembled. And
Yeah,
sometimes I mean, I'm always, the studio is always running, and I always have people send me tracks, and shit goes on all the time in here. So I was like already working on a lot of songs and a lot of ideas. So we weren't really sure. Me and Tom, we knew we were going to keep doing stuff. He's got the big studio that can record drums, and I have the little studio that does all the vocals and guitars. And we do vocals. We can do Tom can do everything, but he's got the bigger room, so he can do the drums. I can't. I can do everything else except drums. So
okay.
but
Yeah, sure.
anyway, so we have our studios, and we're just wondering what the hell are we gonna do. So I just said, "Fuck it, let's just like get all these ideas out and try to figure out what's happening. Try out the idea, see what happens, and just move forward." And then Tom and I play in this Angel Witch cover band called Quintanica,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of fun. Um, we got Tom Draper on guitars, and he used to play an Angel Witch just like me. He knows Kevin Hayburn, and Kevin taught him how to play the songs. And, I mean, we all made sure to go over the parts when we had time with Kevin. And so, we never forgot it. And it's a lot of fun to play those songs. So, Tom and I we were playing with Will Carroll in that project, which was a lot of fun too, because Will's just all in on all sorts of different projects. And he's a pretty heavy hitter, and he loves playing. And so I just said, "Hey, Will, would you like to play drums on this crazy solo project thing that me and Tom are doing?" And he said, "Hell yeah!" And that was that. So,
And he needs.
so we started doing demos of all sorts of things. First thing we did was we recorded a bunch of Angel Witch stuff, which I still have and haven't finished yet. But it's only because this other stuff became more important to do, and it takes time to, put all your effort into doing songs and recording all the parts, and then proceeding down that lane where, you got to get the bass down exactly right, and then you got to get the vocals down exactly right, and then all the rhythm guitars and solos and melodies and harmonies and shit. That's the whole procedure with everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So anyway, back to the Nefarious beginning stuff. So we were trying to figure out how in the hell, what the fuck's gonna happen with vocals. So I started getting some ideas and talking to some friends, and I knew some other people, and I started sending some tracks around and try to find out who might be a good singer. And we got a couple of guys to come in that have different approaches to singing. And the results were okay, but they were sort of like, not really sure, just kind of like feeling it out. And at this point, we have, I don't remember how many songs we had down. Must have been at least three or four.
Hmm.
And then Kate and DePena reached out to me about something completely unrelated.
And
Actually, a little bit related. It had to do with music, of course, because,
sure,
Caden's
sure.
kind of all in with music. And I thought about it for a second, and I got back to him, reached back to him about 5 minutes later, and I said, "Hey, I got an idea. I got this crazy idea you might be interested in. Why don't you give me your number and I'll call you up and talk to you about it? And so, like, basically, it was just like how to proceed with this beginnings of the Nefarious thing. And so, um, I sent him. He goes, "Well, cool, sounds great, brother. Let me hear some material." So I sent him. What did I send him? I don't remember. One of the songs was "One Nation Enslaved" because that one was one of the first ones I put together, and yeah, he loved it. So that was pretty. That was the beginning phases,
Amazing.
and yeah, one thing led to another. I'd been always been talking with Rick. Rick and I go way, way back, so it's always been, fun just to chat with him and talk about what's been going on, and getting him to maybe come down and play some solos, And I mean, he's doing the Die Humane thing, but
Yeah.
he was doing that or still is. It's just that they don't really play, and he really, really wants to go out and thrash and destroy shit on stage, which I fully understand. I mean, it's in our blood. We got to do this. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
when I was talking to him about having him come in and play solos, he said, "That sounds great. What else? What's going on?" He wants to know. And I go, "Well, we have all these songs here. I'm going to send you a bunch." So he loved them. And he thought, "Wow, this could be a band." And I'm thinking, "Yeah, well, that's what Will said." And then when Caden got involved, I asked Rick, "What do you think about getting Caden?" He goes, "Oh my God, that's great. That's killer. We should get him." And Rick loves everything. If you know Rick. But
Yeah.
the thing is, what's really important though is behind all the rash decisions, there's a lot of thought. And so, you got to carefully consider everything. And that actually was something that could really be functional. I mean, if we were going to work with a singer from Europe or from some other farther away place, the logistics would be even more brutal. But
Yeah.
with Caden being only in Los Angeles, it's not that bad. So he's been coming up on weekends and recording tracks with us. Like we usually do two at a time and then go over the parts and record like, about 10 takes. And then I bring everything home and edit them up. He shoots back down to LA and I send him mixes and we work on that, make sure everything's cool. And this is the way it's been going. And then we decided we were going to keep this top secret and not tell anybody. So then it got really interesting and stupid because I mean, I just kind of got my head so far into this project that I kind of went radio silent on every kind of social media and just didn't really talk about anything. I mean, every now and then I drop a bomb about some Porsche shit because, Porsche is important, but that's just because it always has been. But seriously, it was more interesting to just kind of keep everything under wraps for quite a while. And then I got Tambray, who is our manager with Blind Illusion involved, who had a big plan of how to break out and really do this thing in a really explosive manner. And Rick Newsom production guys, like for this guy Muncie, who takes care of like radio and lots of no, that was the other guy. It's complicated. There's several guys involved. But there's a lot of promotion stuff that got
Yeah. To keep
planned in,
promoted.
and we
Yeah.
had all the stuff ready to go on April 15th. So
Yeah.
when April 15th came around, we launched the website filled with, we have shirts already available for sale. Ticket sales are through there. The whole little store on the website is open on the 15th and we released the first song to the world, and it seemed to like go over a lot better than I was really expecting it to. But that's great. I mean, honestly, all things considered, we're all into this for love a lot more than anything else. It's like we don't know how to do anything creative. I mean, I build stuff and do architectural shit too, but that's for money, and that pays well. But my love and heart
Your
and
passion
soul
is
is a
music.
lot more it's into music, and it's like, it's kind of, but the way things have been going in the last 10, 20 years with the music industry, it's harder and harder to do anything except, to make money. And a lot of people just stay
Yeah.
home, but
It
whatever. I have a recording studio.
Yeah, it's gotten even harder. It is even more a labor of love these days. You know, really, if you're into music and
Exactly. I
you
mean,
really,
and like, and with that said, I think our communities become a lot more closer and understanding, and people are really heartfelt about all of it too. All the fans, all the music connoisseurs, the vinyl collectors, all these guys are all super passionate, and you can feel it and see it at the shows. So, I mean, maybe it's not the same way that we would all run off to Media Markt and buy tons of CDs
yeah,
and
that's yeah.
like it used to be.
Sadly, it's over. Yeah.
Now it's like it's mail order shit, and but even more so, it's like it's down to like you go people will actually buy stuff from the fans. That's why it's critical to have a website up so you can market your material and all this. And then at least you get a reasonable amount of proportion of of monetary value back to you rather than you funneled through 87 record executives and all that bullshit like it used to be. But whatever, coming back to the whole thing, it's just nice to be able to feel that come back from the people when you release something and just like have that thing blow up the way it did was kind of cool. So
Yeah, but I think you guys and I think lucky is the wrong word, but I mean, you've worked for this, over decades. I mean, you don't have your names for nothing. I mean, Caden, you, Rick, um, Will, you've all worked towards, you've earned your stripes, so to speak, and I think,
yeah,
I think for you, it's probably easier than for an upstart, because
yeah,
you carry a certain gravitas, and I think people will sort of like just take me as an example. I read a name like Hunold or Piercy, I go, let's check it out, So, and that'll
yeah.
be the case with a lot of fans.
Well, it's funny because like we've all been friends for so long. We all known each other for so long. We're all solid players. We all like to, it's easier to play with guys you can just call up and say, "Hey, I'm going to send you the song," and they throw it into their. It's just easier to do that. You and I have done that too. And with and this happens often. A lot of people will send me stuff, and I only have so much time.
Yeah.
But honestly, the last year has been brutal. It's just like only this, trying to get this really figured out, and I mean, trying to actually do something on, I mean, we're just trying to do something cool and have it function. There's so many ways that you can do this and just like not cover that aspect and not cover the other aspect. And all of these aspects are really critical to function together, and then you have a chance to get out and play out and tour and hang out with all the other connoisseurs and all the maniacs that live for music too, and
Yeah,
that's
and especially you now with your experience, you want to get together a bunch of guys that where you can sort of get along and do the whole thing, on a personal.
well, what's funny is that we all get along pretty damn well. It's kind of nice, I mean, there's some interesting personalities going on, and everyone just kind of looks out for each other and lets them do their thing, and it's all cool. But we pull together pretty quickly, and that was important too. I mean, you
It's,
never know. I mean, there's many examples I'm sure we could come up with that where things didn't work, but I'd rather like concentrate on what's really awesome and keep things really really positive and give something back. I mean, that's all we want to do.
Look, Blabbermouth would rather hear something else, but
The idea.
let's focus on the positive. So, Doug, just quickly, I saw a post somewhere. Bear with me, I don't have the exact date. You did a debut show in Cisco?
A statement where?
No, a debut show.
Oh, the debut shows. Oh, that's here in the city in San Francisco.
You're still going to do it, or you've done it already?
No, 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 no. It's July 19th.
Oh, okay, okay. So it's
The
yeah.
full length release will be. We're releasing the record on vinyl and CDs,
Awesome.
and by then everything will be out on streaming platforms by the 18th. That would be the whole record. And then the next day is our debut show at a big club here in San Francisco called the DNA Lounge.
Wow.
And
Yeah, the DNA. Yeah.
yeah, that's actually happening. That's the first show, but people are interested all over the world. There's the European interest too, and we're gonna have to we're going to be doing something out in Europe sooner than I can say. But I mean, there are things being planned right now, but nothing solid today, this minute, and to good reason. We only have one song out. It's like it's kind of nice if you have a whole record out first, But
Yeah. Oh,
we're
okay.
just not quite there yet. I'm listening to mixes as we speak this morning. I got another it's the fourth song. It's going to be final mixed. We're right in the middle of it. We're about 95% of it. And we already have two others in the can. We did the videos for those songs on Saturday, which was a really long, crazy day. And two songs in one day, I don't recommend it.
It's people
It's
that
a
know
lot.
people that know
Very
about
different.
production. It's you with all the ear fatigue and all that stuff. It just gets too much. Yeah.
It's You nailed it with something there. The ear fatigue is real.
Yeah.
I can only handle like a mixing session. Like, you go for about maybe 5, 6 hours and that's it.
Yeah,
It's kind of like overloads your head. It's hard to process every frequency.
and you lose it.
And so that's a really interesting point. I've never talked about this before, except for to my producer engineer buddy who helps me out with some of this stuff, Damian Rasmussen. Um, he's amazing, but he's the one that turned me on. He's the one that made it aware that ear fatigue is a thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yesterday I couldn't hear anything. I was just like just turning. I mean, we just returned equipment and all the video production stuff. I have a couple of vans, so we like moved stuff everywhere, moved everything back, and these things are huge, monumental, huge endeavors to do these radical video productions. I mean, if you've seen any of the Blind Illusion videos that we did a long time ago, that was a similar kind of a thing, like we just get all in, build a giant laboratory and, or whatever, we did there's a lot of work that goes into those things. So then there's that. And then there's the ear fatigue. It's all part. It's like Sunday was like,
Um,
I'm done.
I,
Nothing today.
no, exactly. I mean, I knew of it way before, but when I did my last tracks now for the False Idols album, Tommy Newton helped me a lot. Tommy, who worked on the old Halloween albums and shit, and he would sometimes say like, "So, Schluss,
Schluss. Das
Schluss,
war's.
das war's für heute.
Ende.
Jetzt gehen wir saufen. Jetzt gehen wir Bier trinken." Because yeah, and he said, "No, you don't leave it," and I would leave, and he would listen in the morning. It's yeah.
How it works out. I mean, it's so nice to come back with fresh ears, and you hear things differently too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
But
almost like when you come into the rehearsal and the amp sounds different the day before. Like, what happened?
and you haven't changed a thing.
No, the tubes are just saying, "I'm going to be this way today."
No,
Fuck you.
it had more balls yesterday. What the?
Anyway, yeah. So that show's coming up, and
Awesome.
the website's up and running.
Yes, I already checked that.
NefariousBand.com.
Yeah.
And everything's there. There's going to be lots of information in terms of dates, touring, whatever, and merch and stuff that we're things that we're up to doing. And we're going to be uploading all sorts of interesting, weird, goofy videos, like what we play through, what kind of equipment we have, just rig run throughs and just candid, goofy shit. Tom Gears is really good at just making retarded, stupid videos about nothing that are hilarious, that you never know. And I'll do it to him too. I'll catch him doing something stupid, and it's just funny. It's like we'll be doing things like that more as time goes on.
But tell me, Jack, whilst on the recording sort of subject, how do you see the current developments? I don't know. I don't think we touched on that in the past. There's so much stuff out there now. You can basically at home get your neural DSP, plug in this, that. Are you the old miking guy, or do you look into new technology?
Um, well, first and foremost, I mean, honestly, I'm always probably going to be horrible old school dad guy where, it's microphones, it's
Yeah,
playing your parts right into like one of those
yeah.
because that's important. If you don't play your parts right, it doesn't matter what the hell you're using, but you got to remember how to play and practice all the goddamn songs. You can get them down really well. And then as for like, with the advent of, but then to move over into equipment, with the advent of prices to fly shit around, it becomes really expensive to like, take these really large effects pedals and systems
Amps,
and all that and
amps.
plug them into your wonderful amps and enter the DSP stuff and the neurals and the quad cortex stuff. There's various other types of emulation rigs that are pretty cool and very small and light. The thing is that what I've seen is that most of the time, unless you're touring just a bunch of off gigs all over the place where you need to rent gear or have gear set up, the most of the festivals, for example, will be able to provide amplification.
Yeah,
So then it becomes interesting to have like one of those neural DSPs to plug right into one of those. You just go into the effects return,
and
and
get
there you
oh,
are. That works really well for the most part. It depends on how you have sampled the guitar tones you like and the effects you use, and it comes down to how well you prepare your
yeah, yeah.
DSP rig. You
Yeah,
know,
you can't start fiddling on stage.
I mean, a lot of bands figured out a long time ago it's best just to have a big ton of equipment over in that area that you're of that part of the world where you're playing. So, for example, like if you look at like Slayer or Exodus or so many other bands, they all have like tons of gear already stored in Europe, including
Where,
myself. I
yeah,
have a full rig over in Holland, and it just lives there.
okay,
At our road manager's house, and I have an extra guitar there. Every time I go over there, I leave something else.
yeah, yeah. No, that
And
for
that
playing live,
helps
for
because
playing live, I mean, it definitely makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
I mean I don't have like tons of stacks or anything, but I do have an angle amp, and I have my exact same rig that I use here in the States, and with the exact same presets. So it's like all I have to do is plug in. It's kind of nice,
Yeah,
but that's only because you know, you, this stuff doesn't happen overnight, or it could actually happen overnight, but it's expensive. If you do it slowly, it doesn't cost anything. You can sneak shit over in and it becomes in your stuff. I always fly my guitars inside my pants, and I take everything apart, put them in my suitcases anyway. But that's about to change because I don't need to because I already have two guitars over in Europe anyhow, so I don't really need them, you know.
yeah, but if I catch you right, when it comes to studio, you still prefer your old-fashioned miking.
But back to the old-fashioned miking. Absolutely. I mean, if you
I'm just saying this because I listened to the track and it doesn't sound like 90% of the shit that's out there. It just sounds raw. It sounds real. You know,
Yeah, well, it's just it's like you just use one of those guitars and then you like go into like, whatever you need to make the amps explode. In this case I was using either the Marshall Jubilee or the Angle Savage. And those pretty much you just go right into, like with one, overdrive pedal or something, and that's it. And it goes out into the cab, and there's various speakers, and they're all close mic'd. And I never touch that cab. The mics stay that way forever. It's been like that for months.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's like cobwebs in there. I don't touch them.
Proof that it's like stationary.
If it works, use it. And
Yeah.
then remember how to play your parts and be creative about it.
But now
It's important.
tell me something else. After my little uh, lovely time with Tommy, he said to me because I play a Flying V ESP, and he said to me, he wasn't running it down, but he was saying like, if you ever want if you ever want a grown up guitar, get a Les Paul. Like, with get a proper sounding guitar. Basically is what he was saying. A guitar with good resonance. Now I've seen you play Fenders a lot.
This
Ooh,
one sounds pretty proper. Works well.
okay,
It's
so
the old school Flying V.
uh,
This is what I recorded everything on.
yeah, there you go. No, my question was just that on a lot of pictures I see you playing
This
a
one did
Fender.
most of the solos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is like kind of an old school buddy of mine, been around for a while.
But are those pickups obviously hot, eh?
These are hot rails.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You won't get that sound on a standard Damasio.
No, no, and it's a three-way switch. I mean, there isn't too much to it. It's about writing the parts and playing them, and really that's and get a good sound. I mean, ask anybody. There isn't too much to it,
Yeah.
but it is important to be real thoughtful about it and patient and make sure that you get your how the inspiration there and happening, and I can't overemphasize that. That's important.
Fresh string,
Ganz wichtig.
intonation. Ja.
Sollen wir auf Deutsch labern? Du kannst lachen, wie du willst.
No, das war auf jeden Fall ein sehr, ich sag, for the listeners, I'm going to stay with English. But no, it was it was a great learning curve with Mr. Newton. It was a few things a few pointers just to get the guitar sound bigger. Good DI box, that kind of shit, but obviously I'm doing the non-miking route, so yeah.
Right.
A lot of that. But let's get back to Nefarious. You already touched on that. Things are in development there. There's probably someone already reaching out here to Europe. I'd be so thrilled to see you guys here. It would be fucking amazing, man.
Yeah, it's really kind of too soon to talk about that. There has been some interest here and there. For the most part, we're just releasing it ourselves, and we own the record completely. So what we're looking for is licensing deals.
Way to go.
So whatever can be a really awesome licensing arrangement, is where we are, at least with this record. Again, we have to let things happen. I can't speak for the future.
Yeah.
I can just speak the way it is today and the way the plan is for this first record. We have, financially, it's not even a problem. It's already in the can, more or less. But with that said, we're always open to possibilities and discussion. There is no hard and fast way to approach these days. There's a lot of old school techniques that work with large labels, like, all of our favorite labels that release metal today, for example. But, right now it's just, I mean, in the end, it's actually easier for them if they don't have to, send out a bunch of money to cover recording costs. We're doing
Oh,
that ourselves. We're our own machine.
I don't
And,
know. Isn't that a thing of the past anyway? The most labels that I talked to when I had my material ready, they were going like, "Well, and
it seems to be that way. Yes.
give it to
I
us
agree.
give it to us on a silver platter," basically. And how many followers do you have on Instagram?
Yeah, those are like really frustrating things. For
Hello.
someone who wants to passionately play and write songs, suddenly it becomes a real important thing to have more followers than the next guy. And it's like, that's a game that I don't really, I mean, I
Yeah.
accept that it's reality
Yes,
and
but
I know it, but it's an uncomfortable reality. I wish I didn't have to deal with that. I would much rather just concentrate on the musical aspects and bringing things to the table rather than a lot of talk.
yeah.
There's If you get all hung up in the Instagram or the social media world, you find that you get yourself ahead of the horse where you're talking so much that, and you're not producing anything relevant. You're just doing talking and talking about, what you've done in the past and with pictures with somebody or somebody else. It's like, to me, that's like, it's not the point. What's
Uh,
important,
It's
to
another
let the
area.
passion build new material and release it first. Then you got something to talk about. That's
Yeah,
sort
and
of
then
the whole, that's been the
yeah,
whole
and then
way we've
ideally,
approached this.
yeah, but then ideally with you guys with your material, I mean, which I deem will be strong, you have someone that can sort of do that. I mean, I find it can bog you down incredibly as a musician, as a writer. It's to still focus on all that bull and it's
It's important. You get it. But I mean, I wish that, with that said, it's also important to like balance it. I mean, if you're releasing really important good new material and you balance it with a lot of social media hits that are carefully figured out, and the direction you're supposed to go in, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against that. It's just that when you're not releasing stuff and all you're doing is talking, and it's like,
Mhm.
really, it's like, what do you like? People don't have the attention span to
Oh,
wait until the next week to see more talking.
yeah,
People want to be blown away,
yeah,
you know? That's the way I see it. And
definitely.
I find that trend in myself too. Like, after about, you know, I just lose attention quicker now with all these different ways that people are trying to snag at you. I mean, this thing is going off and beeping the whole time.
Constant,
And
yeah.
I don't even know who's on it, but it's like, shut up, fuck this. It's like, it's back in the corner.
Just let me get with the real things. Doug, we've got about 5 minutes left. I just basically what I wanted to do is just touch base, talk about Nefarious a little bit, and I would love us to reconnect once your material's out. Um,
Yeah,
it'd
I'll
be,
send you more.
be great.
But yeah, and I hope to see you and everyone out there in Europe. I mean,
Oh, you can rest assured. If you
in
announce
Deutschland, in Holland, everywhere, in Belgium. We love everyone out there. It's a lot of fun to go out and just hang out with all the people that have real love for music,
yeah,
and just like have a big party. You know how it is. That's
call
what
them
we
and
do.
they shall be there.
Okay.
Good one. To conclude, Doug, I'm glad you added again. I was, like I said, when we saw each other at the Blind Illusion gig, I thought that was a real, from my perspective, a real good, solid thing. Sad it didn't sort of develop further, but hey, one door
Well, we did
one door
we did a
closes,
bunch of
the
stuff.
other door
We did
opens.
a record,
Yeah,
and I mean, I wish everybody the best, and sometimes you change jobs. It happens. It's
it happens
not
definitely.
the end of the world. I'm still in contact with most of my previous employers.
Yeah, for sure. Don't burn any
Auch
bridges.
in Deutschland.
Auch in Deutschland. Yeah. No, but like I said, one door closes, the other opens. So, now,
Exactly,
for everybody
exactly. There
out
you go.
there, so keep your eyes peeled for Nefarious. I'll be putting all the links underneath, and I'll be monitoring you guys closely.
Sounds good.
Doug,
All right. Well, have a good one. We'll talk later.
we'll chat later.
Ciao.
Insidious movements within the folk center. Boxes appear in the night. Vicious hacking of state-violent systems, pushing their leaders to win. Never consider the rights of the people who voted. It's all just a sham. Internal systems designed to confuse. Ultimate online control. And shop our legions in our our pain into a system that will support all forms of war. Protest meant nothing except violent beatings, tear gas and riots.